I'm 67 years old, and I just understood something that would have completely changed my life if I had discovered it 30 years ago. Look at me. See my grey hair, the wrinkles on my face. Each one tells a story, but there's one story that nobody ever told me. And when I finally understood it, it was too late to change everything. But it's not too late for you. And that's why I need to tell you this today, now, before you make the same mistake I made for 3 decades of my life. Let me tell you about the day that changed everything. It was 6 months ago. I was at the wake of a childhood friend. We grew up together, played on the same street, went to the same school. He was 65 years old. He died of a heart attack, suddenly, in the middle of the week. I was there, standing in front of the coffin, looking at his face, and I thought, we had the same dreams when we were kids. We wanted to travel the world, have adventures, do incredible things. And then I looked around. I saw the widow crying, the adult children trying to comfort their mother. And you know what broke me? It was when the eldest son said in his speech, "My father always said that one day he would take that trip to the Alps that he dreamed of since he was young. One day he would learn to play the guitar. One day he would write that book. One day." I went home that night and couldn't sleep. I lay staring at the ceiling, thinking, how many one days have I also been saving up? How many things have I postponed thinking I'd always have time? And that's when something hit me like a punch in the gut. I spent 30 years of my life believing a lie that everyone around me also believed. My parents believed it, my teachers believed it, my bosses believed it, and that's why no one ever told me the truth. Do you know what the lie is? It's this. First, you build your life, you work hard, you become stable, you save money, you raise your children, you pay the bills, and then, when you retire, when you have time, then you really live. Then you do what you really want. That's the biggest lie I've ever been told, and I believed it wholeheartedly for 30 years. I worked like a slave from age 25 to 55. I woke up at 5 a.m. I got home at 8 p.m. Weekends working on extra projects to earn more. Holidays answering emails. Vacations. Oh, vacations were for resting to go back to work. You know that phrase? I'll do it later. I'll travel later. I'll spend more time with my family later. I'll learn that later. 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 And you know what happened to all those later days? They never came. Because when I finally retired at 60, after 35 years of non-stop work, you know what happened? My body wasn't the same anymore. My back ached, my knees locked up. That backpacking trip I dreamed of taking at 30, impossible at 60. That marathon I was going to run someday? My doctor laughed when I suggested it. Your heart can't handle it, he said. And worst of all, my children were already adults. They already had their own lives. That time I was going to spend with them later. They didn't need me anymore. They didn't want me anymore. They had grown up seeing me always busy, always tired, always saying, "Not now, we'll do that later." And guess what? When later arrived, they were busy too busy for me. Look, if you've watched this far, it's because some part of you already feels that something is wrong with this whole work now, live later story. And what I'm about to reveal will confirm your suspicions and give you the clarity that took me 67 years to achieve. Subscribe to the channel now, because I have many more truths to share about the mistakes I made, the lies I believed, and especially about what you can do differently while there's still time. There's so much more you need to know. And I'm sharing everything because I don't want you to reach 67 looking back with the same regret I have. But before I show you exactly what I would change if I could go back in time, I need to tell you about the day my granddaughter asked me a question that shattered all my certainties. It was a Sunday. She was 8 years old. We were having lunch together, which is rare because she lives in another city, and out of nowhere she asked, "Grandpa, what's the coolest thing you've ever done in your life?" I was silent, searching my memory, some adventure, some incredible moment, some exciting story to tell an 8-year-old, and you know what came to my mind? Work, promotions, completed projects, goals met. None of that matters to an 8-year-old. None of that is an adventure. And the worst part, none of that mattered to me anymore. I stammered. I talked about a business trip I took to Japan, but it was a lie. It wasn't fun. I spent 3 days locked in meeting rooms. I didn't even see the real Japan, and my granddaughter noticed. She looked at me with those big eyes and asked, "But did you have fun?" No, I didn't have fun. That night, alone at home again, I made a list. A list of everything I was going to do someday, everything I had postponed. Do you know how many items were on that list? 47. 47 things I always wanted to do and never did. Learn to play the piano, camp in a forest, see the northern lights, write a book, take a photography course, spend a month traveling without a fixed itinerary, really learn another language, do volunteer work, get a dog, plant a garden. 47 things. And suddenly I realized I spent 30 years saving money to have freedom in the future. And now that I have the money, I no longer have the health. I no longer have the energy. I no longer have the people I wanted to do these things with. And then came the revelation that changed everything. It wasn't in self-help books. It wasn't in motivational speeches. It was in a conversation with my doctor. He was examining me, looking at my tests and said, "You have a good 15, maybe 20 years ahead of you if you take care of your health." 15 to 20 years. When you're young, it seems like a long time. But when you're 67, it's a blink of an eye. And he continued, "The problem is that you lost your best years of health working too much. From 25 to 55, your body can handle almost anything. You can travel, have adventures, do physical things. From 55 to 70, it starts to weigh you down. From 70 onwards, it's a different game." He was right. I traded my best years for money that I can no longer enjoy the way I imagined. But do you know what hurt the most? It was when I realized that no one forced me to do this. My parents didn't force me. My bosses didn't force me. Society offered the path, but I chose to walk it. I believed that working 60, 70 hours a week was necessary. I cancelled trips so as not to interfere with work. I missed birthdays, graduations, important moments because I had an important meeting. And you know what I discovered? None of those meetings were as important as I thought. None of those projects changed the world. The company I dedicated 35 years to replaced me in 2 weeks when I retired. 2 weeks, 3 decades of total dedication, replaced in 14 days. Here's the truth no one tells you. You're not building a better future by postponing your life. You're wasting your present on a promise that may never come true, because the future you imagine at 60, at 65, may not exist. You may not have your health. You may not have the people you love by your side. You may not have the same energy, the same will, the same ability. The time to live is now, not later. Now. I've completely revamped everything over the last 6 months. I took that list of 47 things. I crossed off the ones that no longer make sense. That left 23 that I can still do, even with my limitations. And you know what I did? I started. At 67, I started doing the things I'd been putting off my whole life. I bought a guitar. My hands ache after 20 minutes, but I play. I adopted a dog. I can't run with him anymore, but we walk every day. I booked a 3-week trip to New Zealand for next year. I'm going alone, I'm going slowly. But I'm going, I started writing. It won't become a bestseller, it doesn't matter. I'm writing. And you know what happened? I feel alive for the first time in decades. I'm no longer waiting to live. I'm living, even if it's a smaller, slower, more limited version than it would have been if I had started 30 years ago. So answer me this. How much longer are you going to postpone it? How many one days are you going to accumulate? That trip you want to take, that hobby you want to start, that time with your family that you promise when things calm down. When do you think you're going to do it? Because I also thought I would do it when I had time. And now I've discovered that we never have time. We make time. We choose time. Every day you choose between living now or waiting for a later that may never come. You have health today. You have energy today. The people you love are alive today. How much of that are you willing to sacrifice for one more project at work, one more overtime hour, one more professional goal that in 30 years you won't even remember properly? I'm not saying to drop everything and become a hippie. I'm not saying to be irresponsible. I'm saying balance. Work, yes, but also live. Not just afterwards. Also, take that week-long trip even if it's not the ideal time. Start that course even if you don't know if it will lead to anything. Spend that afternoon with your children, even if you have emails to answer. Because emails will always exist. Your children won't be children forever. Your body won't be strong forever. The people you love won't be here forever, and neither will you. I would give everything to go back to being 35 years old knowing what I know today. I would give all the money I saved. I would give up my comfortable retirement. I would give everything to have done things differently, to have worked less and lived more, to have said no more often at work and yes more often to life, to have understood that the best investments are not financial ones, but investments in experiences, in memories, in moments. Because when you're here at 67 looking back, do you know what matters? It's not the car you drove. It's not the position you held. It's not the size of your bank account. It's whether you had fun, whether you loved, whether you truly lived. And I have to admit, with all the regret in the world, I lived very little. I worked a lot, but I lived little. Don't make the same mistake, please. If there's one thing my 67 years have taught me, it's this. Time flies, much faster than you imagine. That someday can turn into never in the blink of an eye. That person you love might not be here tomorrow. That dream might become impossible in a few years, so now. Do it now, live now, don't wait to have the perfect life to start living, because the perfect life doesn't exist. There is the life you have. And the question is, are you living it or are you saving it for someday? If this resonated with you, comment below one thing you've been putting off and will start doing this week, not next month, not next year, this week. Share this video with someone who also needs to hear this. And subscribe to the channel, because in the next video I'll show you exactly the 5 changes I made at 67 that made me feel more alive than in the last 30 years, and that you can do now at any age before it's too late. The clock is ticking, for me, for you, for everyone. The question is, what are you going to do with the time you have left?